This video is sponsored by ExpressVPN. The internet can be a dangerous place, and your activity is tracked. ExpressVPN will help to keep you safe and hidden, as well as opening up all sorts of other opportunities. Unable to access certain videos on YouTube? Oh look, now I'm in Serbia, and suddenly I can again. Trying to find deals for a holiday, but think the site is sneakily raising the prices every time you look at it? Oops, now I'm in Mongolia, and it doesn't know it's me. Somebody got your IP and is threatening to DDoS you. The joke's on them. That's not your IP. They've got ExpressVPNs. You've got 94 countries to choose from, and it's easy to find the fastest ones for your needs. Use it on your laptop, desktop or phone, or all three at the same time. Do this and more in just a few clicks for less than $7 a month with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Take back your internet privacy today and find out how you can get 3 months free by clicking on the link in the description. Take back your privacy today with ExpressVPN. Where is DZ Sirocco meant to be? I didn't even know the word until the map came out, and a quick Google search showed it to be a phenomenon where warm air from Africa meets the colder air in Europe. So, in the last video where I talked about this, I circled the biggest section of world I thought I could get away with and moved on to other things. But was I right? Is Sirocco here? Or is it here? Sirocco sounds like Morocco, after all, so maybe it's the same place. And the architecture's similar too, so that's also a strong point. Or maybe it's in India. That's not such a silly suggestion, since the pit you see in the map is awfully like the one in Batman, which was shown in front of Jodhpur, which is in India. Of course, the reality is that it's nowhere. It's a fictional island, probably, and Valve are free to borrow elements from wherever they please. And they should do, if it makes for a better map. All this is just a taste of the stuff I have to think about when producing YouTube content. Although I create videos about games, my journey goes many exciting places. In order to make the best content I can, I often have to delve into seemingly unrelated topics, many of which are new to me. By the end of this video, hopefully you'll understand how complicated creating a problem-free video is, how mistakes happen, and why, sometimes, I'm okay with them. The best example of complexity has to be my skin videos. Skin showcases have a reputation for being low-effort content to keep a channel pumping out regular stuff, but I don't think mine are. For each and every one, I reach out and contact over a dozen expert skin makers and carry out a back and forth with them over several days. I didn't know what to expect when I started doing this. I guess I expected to get a good knowledge of skin making for Counter-Strike. What I didn't expect was how broad a number of topics I'd end up covering. They'd swat up on Greek mythology, or about a particular rally car from decades ago. All of this, just to make the best skin that they could. And since I was covering it in my video, I too ended up doing a fair bit of research into these areas. I was positively surprised by how much there was to know about skins. To appreciate the design is one thing. Many players will happily buy and use the skin, unaware of the story behind it. It won't matter to them, but knowing about their stories and Easter eggs gives a whole new layer of depth to them. And it matters to some people, as well as to the skin creator. By showcasing this, I feel that my skin showcases serve a purpose, and I've grown increasingly proud of how educational and informative these videos are. So yeah, I've covered all sorts in my Counter-Strike content, but even the core content spans more than simply playing the game. I mean sure, I do play it, but not anywhere near as much as other Counter-Strike YouTubers do, and probably not as much as many of you do. I spend more of the time flying about empty maps in no-clip mode, or staring at them in the Hammer editor, naked and full bright. And so are the maps. And even the game itself is a hugely complex, changing beast. Gone are the days where a game was just released and that was that. Counter-Strike is a series that has spanned 20 years. It isn't the same as it was a year ago, or 5, or 10. I like to think that my knowledge of it simply grows over time, but bits get rewritten and how I see Counter-Strike in my head is probably a blend of hundreds of different versions over time. I'm always horrified to watch an older video of mine and to discover how much I've forgotten about it, as well as how some changes that I thought happened last year actually happened 3 or 4 years ago now. To say my knowledge of the game is incomplete and inaccurate is an understatement, and there's always something daunting about that when starting on new content. Take a recent video of mine, CSGO's late May update. It's not the most important topic, or the most viewed video that I've ever made, but it's still been seen by 250,000 people. That's 15 arenas worth. Put all the viewings it's received next to each other and it's swallowed up over a year and a half of humanity's time. When each of my videos is watched for so long by you guys, I can justify the extra time it takes to make a good video. What's a few extra hours of polish in the grand scale of things? I like for my videos to be correct. I feel a degree of responsibility to ensure that I'm not misleading such a large part of Counter-Strike's player base. If there's a single mistake in that video, it'll be picked up on by thousands of people and will corrupt the knowledge of countless more. But the better a job I do of not making mistakes, the worse it is when I finally make one. And I do make mistakes. Even the smaller ones are picked up on where there are so many people watching my stuff. It's humbling to think of the cumulative knowledge my audience must have. You may be gamers, but you're also mathematicians, athletes. I'm sure there's an astronaut or two among you as well. And you all play your bit in pointing out where my knowledge might be lacking. I recently referred to the bucket things on Vertigo as bucket things. But no, they're trash chutes. 2 builders corrected me there. Thanks for that. Luckily for me, most of these mistakes are just superficial things. A while ago I was talking about a skin and I briefly mentioned Sputnik and how it took the first animal to space. Almost as an afterthought, I decided to put a picture of Sputnik on the screen, but I got the wrong one. It was Sputnik 2 that carried the first animal into space. And when the video's watched hundreds of thousands of times, then of course dozens of people are going to notice and tell me that I made a mistake. The core message of the video wasn't wrong, but understandably it made me look as though I didn't know what I was talking about, even though it was only the visual element that was wrong. That's the problem when you add more to your videos. There's more that can go wrong. I like my videos to be correct, but I accept I'm sometimes going to be 99% correct. That last 1% can be so difficult to attain, and a lot of the time I don't even care too much. Back to Sirocco. Or is it Sirocco? Pronouncing words is a big part of being a YouTuber. I may be speaking in English, but many of the words I have to say aren't. I might not even know that they're not. I've learned the hard way that the car, Lancia, isn't pronounced Lancia. It's Lancia. Even Jeremy Clarkson got that one wrong. But I feel I have a duty to pronounce things right. Many of you take what I say to be the truth, and I feel I'm doing a disservice to you if I get this sort of thing wrong. I'm fairly confident that Sirocco is pronounced Sirocco, as Sirocco appears to be the name of a car. But even that's confusing since some people claim it's pronounced Sirocco, and the name itself is derived from Sirocco anyway. So yeah, pronouncing words is always scary for me, especially when I see comments questioning whether I got them right. There are these so-called pronunciation guides online that are supposedly there to help pronounce things, but these are shockingly bad. Some are auto-generated in robot speak, and I think others just copy others, or make up their own pronunciations. It annoys me when a site dedicated to pronunciation doesn't know the correct pronunciation themselves. Although I do love this pronunciation of Beetlejuice. Maybe there are multiple ways of pronouncing things. Krakow, for instance, a city that can be pronounced and spelled in different ways. It still won't stop some people from saying that their way is right, or worse still, insisting that mine is wrong. Don't even get me started on Americans correcting my English. Sometimes I'll change my pronunciation as time goes on, and it might not even be because I was wrong. Vega, for instance. That's a perfectly acceptable way to pronounce it. But Vega has become the popular way to say it when referring to the Counter-Strike team, and AMD's Vega graphics card. So that's one case where I've changed how I've said it. But there are some cases where I stubbornly stick to my preferred pronunciation, even when I know that I'll be called out for it. Just you wait. It could be you. Bowie knife. Jif. Quickly moving on, I'm always afraid of saying people's names incorrectly. No number of pronunciation guides will help me if they were at the back of the queue when picking their username. But saying it wrong still makes me feel as though I've openly disrespected them. And by doing so in front of a large audience, I may have changed how others pronounce their names from now on. Imagine if Drama Alert couldn't say my name correctly.
3 Kilk Phillip.
Or if PewDiePie called me 3000 Licks Phillip. Let's move away from pronunciation. 'Tis a silly thing. 2 Clicks Phillip makes mistakes as well. His Skyrim one is terrible. He used the word tallest instead of highest. A genuine mistake because he didn't know, but it was a mistake and he was rightly pointed out for making it. And at one point in the same video, he even reads 732 as 723,
which is 723 meters tall,
proving once and for all that 3 Clicks Phillip is the best. 2 Clicks Phillip's 98% right at most. But was 2 Clicks Phillip punished for making such a mistake? No, at least not at first, because no one noticed for several months. But the moment one person did, suddenly everybody did. Of course, what I think happened is that they saw the first comment, checked it for themselves, and then decided to comment it as well. 2 Clicks Phillip cowardly removed a load of these comments at the time to try and bring the chat back to positive things again. But in this case, I think it's good to correct 2 Clicks Phillip. I'll do it as well. But this can lead to a problem for the YouTuber because any hope of a varied and interesting comment section is ruined the moment one of these correction spams begins. And it makes the YouTuber ask, what if? That YouTuber might have spent 40 hours on that video, but because of a split-second mistake, it ruins any hope of an interesting or constructive comment section for it. And instead of it being a video about the topic in question, it instead becomes that video where the YouTuber made that silly mistake. If only he hadn't made that mistake. What if? Recently I made a video covering how long CSGO games can last, and it got not 1, but 2 correction spams in the comments. And they weren't even mistakes. I said that the longest game would need the bomb to be planted on all 30 rounds, and hundreds of you pointed out that if the bomb was planted on every round, it would end after 16 since the terrorists would score 16 wins. But that's not true, since the teams are swapped after 15. And the second correction was in this bit. 90 seconds long. Both teams can do this, adding 2.5 minutes onto the length of the game. You were all quick to tell me that 2 times 90 seconds is 3 minutes, but since freeze times are 15 seconds long already, you have to deduct those 30 seconds from the figure, so me saying 2.5 minutes was correct. But you know what? I'm partly to blame for these, because I assumed something was commonly known about the game that clearly wasn't. These comment spams highlighted 2 parts of the video that I didn't explain adequately, which I'd try to fix if I made the video again. Sometimes I make mistakes but think it's unfair to criticise me for them. I hand-type captions for each and every one of my videos to help the deaf or those who don't natively speak English. I don't mind mistakes in these being pointed out, but please don't insult me for it, because it's only there in the first place for a good cause. Sources' unit measurements always stir up controversy. If a person stood in a doorway, either they're too short or the door's too tall. They can't both be correct. I typically say that the doors are too tall, but I guess it's equally correct to say that the people are too short, even though that would result in a bizarre reality where the counter-terrorists and terrorists are all 4 foot tall. Funnily enough, the opposite happened in 2clicksphilip's Skyrim video. He calculated that people in that game are well over 6 feet tall, and joked that it's because they're Scandinavian. But in the comment section, he was told by somebody from a Scandinavian country that people there are actually shorter than average. What should 2clicksphilip do? Should he argue with them? Should he travel to a Scandinavian country and check for himself? No, that would make him crazy. Sometimes, I think a video that's 99% correct can teach people more. I use simple words in my videos. I'm also aware that a lot of people watching my videos don't have English as a first language, and if given the choice between a Kralamandistic word and an easy one, I'd rather choose the easy one. There's no need for thesaurus abuse here. Apparently, this script can be understood by a 12-year-old, and I'm proud of that. If you're a teacher, you're not trying to show the class how much you know, you're trying to teach them. This sounds simple, but you'd be surprised by how many videos on YouTube forget this. Sometimes, a simple summary is better, even if it misses certain points. And I think that teaching is as much about what you don't mention as it is what you do. And that's difficult. You already know you're going to be called out for it, but you've got to ask yourself, will the people who call you out on it even need the video in the first place? And are they calling you out to teach you, or just to show how much they know? I'm a 99% correct YouTuber, and that last 1% is the most interesting one. It's the one that I can learn the most from. It's the price I pay for covering so many topics, for having such a large and diverse audience. And of course I do mess up and make genuine mistakes from time to time. Please do point these out. But genuine mistakes aside, the gap between my videos and perfection, it's what makes my videos mine.